Please note, for maximum picture quality, it may be necessary to adjust the tracking control on your VCR.
Leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms.
If we haven't lost all of our listeners, we have now.
Robert Mitchum's still singing in my ears. Hang on. And this is just your tracking?
Were you actually like singing along with him?
Yeah. I can't remember the lyrics. I was just copying him. Hello, and welcome to Adjust Your Tracking. We're a podcast where we're on an adventure to watch a century of cinema, decade by decade, year by year. And I am one host, Liam, and with me is
the other host. My name's Ollie. Hello.
He's gone. He's left because he didn't like my singing.
I thought it was beautiful.
I was trying to be menacing. I was trying to really get that kind of, menacing spirit of that plays through this film, and I think I was trying to embody that. And I think
you just can't be menacing. Try as hard as you can. It's not going to happen, I'm afraid.
I could hear you giggling in my ears, and it was making me laugh. Anyway, this is a late night record, so it's going to be a bit giddy, and so apologies to everyone out there. But how are you, Ollie?
I'm good, thanks. It's currently 10 to 10 at the moment, so it's going to be a late night sexy podcast talking about
sexy podcast.
Serial killer, self-proclaimed preacher men.
Yeah, and shadows. I think we were talking about shadows a lot. That's what we've been talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
This film's mainly shadows.
How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's Easter this weekend, so I've got loads of plans of nothing whatsoever.
I never liked Easter as a kid. I mean, I just thought it was a bit naff. But that's just me.
Great. Did you get Easter gifts as a kid, or was it just like chocolate?
Well, I couldn't eat dairy I couldn't have dairy as a child, so I used to tend to get like little presents. So I'd get like a Ninja Turtle or something like that. So I never really got chocolate.
Ah,
so yeah,
I didn't know that. Well, I might have known it. I might have forgotten. That's probably. That's probably.
Yeah, it triggered off my asthma. So.
Oh right.
Have dairy. Yeah, weird.
I didn't know that was a thing. I've learned something.
It might not be a thing. It could be just my parents not wanting to eat chocolate.
Eat chocolate, yeah. No, you can't have that. It kills you. Okay, Mum and Dad.
Hey, look, I'll happily accept a Raphael or a Ghostbusters pencil case.
That hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't changed.
It's the same thing. It's very easy to buy for.
Caroline's she's obsessed with Animal Crossing.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't call it, like, you know how they've got lots of themes and stuff, so like it's seasonal, so like now it's spring, the whole game looks different, like before it was all snow and stuff like that. They don't call it Easter in the game, they call it Bunny Day.
Of course they do.
So I have no idea what they call Christmas in the game, but
yeah, it's going to be something like Winter Mass or something, isn't it? Like Winter Festival or Snow Day or something. All you Animal Crossing fans out there, tell me what Christmas is called in Animal Crossing, because I've never played Animal Crossing ever. I've never played one second of it, and I don't really know why.
It's like a life simulator. That's all it is. Like Caroline just goes round building bridges, growing flowers, selling turnips. But she loves it. She's addicted to it so much so that she bought her own Switch this week, so I can actually have mine back now.
Oh no way! Have you added me on Switch yet, friends? Are you still refusing to add me as friend?
I'm going
to address this on air.
Dude, since you got your Switch, I've not even been able to touch mine because Caroline's been on it non-stop playing Animal Crossing. I'm not even joking.
I forgive you.
I love you,
Caroline. Currently collecting dust as well. I'm really bad at those games. Like Stardew Valley, I know everyone in the world adores Stardew Valley and says how it's so like wonderful and brilliant and things. And I play it and I just turn off. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what my target is. I find it stressful, even though it's meant to be like relaxing. I'm not good at those games. My brain doesn't work for them. I don't know if it's like, I don't know, signs of ADHD or something, or I don't know, but I can't do it.
It's like you can upload your island, and it's called you go to bed to sleep, and then you can go on people's islands. You can't affect their island, but you can just have a mooch around and see what you think about it.
Good.
And you can actually like visit other people's islands, and you trade goods and stuff like that. So, was Harvest Moon another one of those kind of games?
It was a farming game, definitely. Harvest Moon, yeah. I'm sure it was a farming game on like the N64. Is it that old, Harvest Moon?
Probably, yeah.
I think I remember it being huge. Apparently, there's a Harvest Moon on Switch, so apparently it still exists. Didn't know that.
What was the big one that was on iOS and stuff like that, and on like it was like the
Facebook game?
Yeah, there was one of those ones. What was that one? Farmville.
Yes, Farmville. I never played that.
Apparently someone played that much that they died. They're like, have you heard about that story? I'm sure that's true.
Breaking news. Are you googling Farmville death? Finally, see if we become a true crime podcast, we'll get all those true crime listeners.
Oh no, it's even worse. Jacksonville mom who killed baby while playing Farmville.
What?
It got even darker.
What?
I'm not even going to read that story.
No, put it away. Put it away. It's tainted. It's evil. It's cursed. Cursed story. Remember when Facebook was just people telling you to kind of play their games or something? When it was just like constantly you just get notifications of like so and so has picked apples, and that was just what Facebook was.
Yeah, poking and all that. Like the thing I hate is like you've got that like memory or whatever it's called. Like it tells you what you did. You posted like 7 years ago to the day or 10 years ago to the day, and like. I don't know if I was the only person who did this, but I noticed, and it's really cringe, that obviously it says my name, Oliver Jones, and I'd always put is such and such.
No. Yeah, that was it. That was the language, yeah.
Why did I do that? It's so cringe.
I still have, like, people... I'm going to be careful how I word this. There's people I know on Facebook that still do that, and it annoys me every time I see it. To be honest, I don't log on Facebook that much anymore, thankfully. I just can't, like, every time I try and deactivate my account, I can't do it, because there are things, like, that use it, or there's, like, a group that I need or something, you know, like, or... Right. It's just so it just sits there as like I'm trying not to use you as much as I can, but I can't quite deactivate you, which is which Zuckerberg, the trap, fallen for the trap.
What films have you watched?
Good question. Have you watched I was going to call it Schneiderville. Have you watched Snyderville yet?
No, I'm kind of sick of hearing about it, to be honest. Like every podcast, every video you find is just on about it, and I think I know everything that happens in it now. Okay. But I haven't watched it. I will watch it. I just haven't had time. You know, it's a 4-hour commitment, and
I think it took me 3 days to watch it. No joke. Like.
That's in real time as well.
That's in real time. Yeah, I didn't. That's without pausing. Like.
What did you think of it?
I was going to wait till you watch it to chat about it, really, but like, okay. But as you say, it's not that interesting to talk about. I think you're right. Like, it's not that interesting to talk about. The very facts of it is that it might be the best thing Zack Snyder's made. But
is that saying much? So,
but yeah, for me, that's not saying much. I don't really like the stuff he makes. Like, but it's certainly like it's a piece. Yeah, it's a film. Whereas, like, the hatchet job they did on the original thing, of course, that was crap. You know, like... But there was stuff about Whedon's one that I missed. Like, the characterization of Superman in this is god-awful. Like, is it? The whole last epilogue of it is almost... It drags it down by a star in my rating, frankly, that last, like,
is that more him trolling, do you reckon?
I think it's him saying like, "Look what you could have had."
Okay.
And look where we could have gone. Really, I don't think it's him thinking he'll get anything from it. But I mean, ultimately, it's quite watchable, and I think it's a good testament to a fact that maybe Zack Snyder does work better in this kind of format. Like, I can't quite explain it.
Yeah, no,
but
I see what you mean.
Giving him like 4 hours to just do his stuff makes him better. Rather than like trying to cram that into anything shorter. Even though there's definitely stuff you could take this out, but you know, like you definitely could make a shorter film that that's better than the original Justice League release. But I've been recently sold an idea for him, which I think does work, in the fact that like I don't think he's trying to really tell a message most of the time. I think you can read stuff in his work, because obviously he's obsessed with Ayn Rand, and that is just full in his work. But I think generally he's not actually doing that. He's absolutely a filmmaker that's kind of like, what's cool? Let's do the cool thing. Yeah. And that's pretty much where he sits, really. And it just means that sometimes those like more insidious stuff, or the more kind of horrible stuff that comes out of his work, the stuff that I really don't like, I don't think it's intentionally in there as much as it's just baked into it, really. So, but it's worth a watch, frankly. It is. But again, we could talk about nuances in it that I really don't like. Superman's a really big part of what I don't like about it. It really is. And that's just because I'm desperate to see Superman on screen, you know, and not just what they did. And the whole black suit thing is just a thing that makes no sense in narrative terms at all.
Well, you know, they shot it in colour, the suit's in colour, and then he digitally like altered it to be black. Yeah.
It makes no sense. It literally makes no narrative sense. It's just in it because they're like, the black suit's cool. Like, that is it. Like, we've got to have him in the black suit because it's cool, but it makes no narrative sense. In fact, he's kind of meant to be a bit lighter. But all the kind of better stuff with Superman was Whedon in the Justice League, basically. Like, it's just didn't work because that film's a mess, you know. But there was stuff that we will always like. That's kind of good for Superman. That feels a bit more like Superman. Maybe this was his plan, and then you watch it, it really wasn't. And there's some stuff in it that's like, I would have sworn that was like a Whedon thing, and it's not. It was like in the original script and things, and like the grave digging scene, basically, between like Cyclops and Flash when they're digging Superman up. I thought I would have sworn that was Whedon coming on as a scriptwriter, and it wasn't. It was in the original script. So there's weird stuff like that. I heard
there's more to that, though.
There's a lot more. Yeah,
I think there's just more to everything.
There's more to everything, and I think it benefits from the fact that we now know 3 of the characters quite well. Whereas when it originally was released, we didn't know anyone really apart from Batman and Superman. Mm-hmm. I can't. Maybe Wonder Woman had got released. But that'd have been out, yeah. But I think it helps that Aquaman had a film, because they don't need to spend much time on him in this. And actually, you could have cut down his stuff a little bit more, because it doesn't work as an introduction to Aquaman at all. But it does kind of work as an introduction to Flash, and it definitely works as an introduction to Cyclops. Cyclops, Cyborg. So there is positives about it. But
release the Scott Summers cut.
Release the Scott Summers.
Scott Cummers.
Although there is a really creepy thing in the Flash introduction, which I don't think I've heard many people talk about, but is like...
this the sausage? I've heard about sausage.
Well, it is the sausage scene, but basically, like... it just made me think of something else, but when he runs to save Iris West from a car crash, he spends a significant amount of time in, like, super speed, like, staring at her, and then like moving her hair out of her like eyes and stuff like that. And like, I'm like, this is like, I'm sure this is meant to be kind of like nice and romantic, and it's coming across as incredibly predatory, like creepy behaviour. You wouldn't like the idea that the guy who can move super fast can super like kind of molest you without you knowing about it. Like, but it does kind of suggest that. And I'm like, why? This is, and it's very, because it's in slow motion. It's very fucking long. Like, and it is weird that like, there's so much slow motion in this, yet they choose to show the Flash's like superpower in slow motion, which kind of negates the other slow motion. as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Choices like that is like that's a weird choice that you've done both. You choose to portray both like that.
I guess it's awkward because like the X-Men films with Quicksilver have done it really, really, really well. So they're kind of
they have. I
guess.
But yeah, it's worth a watch.
I'll give it a watch when I've got 12 hours free.
But the do you know the future world stuff as well? Which I only found this out recently, and I can't believe this is what it was. Like he's now said that the future stuff that Batman kept dreaming about, which is like the huge part of the epilogue in this, is a world where Bruce Wayne slept with Lois Lane and made Superman angry. So basically, Bruce Wayne cucked Superman is what this future world is. And I thought it was going to be like a world after the anti-life equation, and Superman's like controlled by anti-life, and it's not. It's a world where Superman got cucked and is angry. What?
Well, because I've heard there's meant to be a pregnancy test thing in this.
Okay.
Were they gonna hint that was gonna be Bruce's child then, or something?
Yeah, it must. That was apparently the plan.
That's
which I find
really, really fucking weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, so weird. And especially, like, we're all in these old films, big complaint is that, like, they don't feel right. You know, the big thing that, the reason Justice League got so messed up is because Batman vs Superman is a complete mess. Like, and the studio was really worried about going forward with that plan. There wasn't a plan to kind of have Superman as ever the hero of DC, like, as far as I can tell. If like this was meant to be the third Justice League film, was meant to be the future world stuff with evil Superman. So like that's 3 films at least we might actually get to a Superman, like, ever.
I find that like that in your first film, fine, you can have your hero kind of doubting themselves and stuff like that, but I think by the end of that first film, they should be the character that we kind of want them to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like at the end of Batman Begins, like, when he's on the rooftop with Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
That's Batman.
That's
he's like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they just didn't do that with these. They were like, no, we're going to get to it eventually by the 6th film. Yeah. It's like, no. Put all your eggs in the first film. Absolutely. And then, you know, do you know what I mean? I hate it when they're like, oh, we'll save it for another one. Like, no, just focus on the one you're doing.
Just do something. Yeah, make us love this. Yeah. And it's the same with Batman. I just see there's so little for Affleck to do. There's so little for him to get into character and to get into stuff, because he's just playing a character that's like almost doesn't have a place in the world anymore. You know, like, and it's like this is such a bad position to put that character in. It's not right. It's not his role. And basically, like, his whole thing in Justice League is just like a character that feels a bit bad that Superman died. It's like that's all you've given him to do, and it's just that's a crap Batman. It's a crap.
I remember him in
Batman.
the end battle in the original one, and he's just like running around with a little alien gun. I'm like, what am I watching? What is this? Like, no, I don't know.
But it's a strange artifact, and I do kind of like that. DC seems to be embracing this idea that we can just have like multiple versions of these characters. So it kind of, because of that, it makes me a little less precious over them as well. And I think maybe I was a bit too precious. And it just makes me a little bit like, fine, that sits there and that's what it is, and that's kind of, it was all right to watch, you know. And it's not like, it doesn't feel like that it's going to be these versions of these characters for the next 10 years. Which I think that's what was bumming me out when watching that kind of like Batman versus
now you
Superman.
You can kind of pick and choose which ones you want to follow.
Yeah.
If they kind of do that, because you know you've got J.J. Abrams apparently doing like his own Superman, which apparently might be a person of color. Which I don't know how they'll handle that. If it'll be Clark, if it'll be, because I think there is a black Superman.
Yeah, Grant Morrison wrote a black Superman in Batman DC. Like,
so it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to not be Clark, like be a whole new character that people can kind of.
And again, it'd be just like, yeah, okay, that exists there. I liked it or didn't like it, but that's just that character. Like, I think that's a really good way to deal with these characters, actually. So that's kind of exciting to me that they've got to a place when they can just do that, really.
I mean, like, this thing, though, seems to be really successful, and it's doing quite well like in like reviews and stuff. So I wonder if they will eventually somehow carry it on.
Who knows?
I would love to see Cavill again, because I think he's got it in him to be a great Superman.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not his fault that he's got like crappy material.
And Affleck didn't want to play the character again because I know it went into his kind of like alcohol abuse and things like that. And he was like, I can't. It's going to kill me if I keep doing this kind of thing. So, but Cavill, I think, I want to see him do more with the character.
Well, he's doing Batman again, isn't he? Because he's doing the Flash.
Oh God, yeah. Whatever the hell's going on with the Flash, yeah.
Because apparently Michael Keaton said that he doesn't want to come to the UK because he's scared of COVID. And I've got news for you, Michael Keaton. COVID's everywhere.
Fair enough, Michael Keaton. It's so
But
weird.
that could be just him thrown off the scent because he's never been officially announced. So that could be just him,
maybe. I'm quite excited that they've announced Zatanna.
Oh yeah, it's that HBO Max like its own movie kind of thing.
Is that? Am I right? They have announced Zatanna film.
I think they've announced Zatanna and Batgirl, but I think they're like HBO Max like films.
Okay, but they've also, because Emerald Fennell, that's it, Fennell, who wrote Promising Young Woman and directed Promising Young Woman.
Oh yes, that's.
So that's
exciting,
and that's a great fit. And I love Zatanna, so I'd be really excited to see what they do with the Zatanna.
They're doing the thing that annoys me though. They get these promising new filmmakers that have done one film, and they're like, "Yoink, we're taking you out of that and we're putting you in our system now." And I think, I just wish they kind of let them kind of just.
I keep thinking no one else. I've not heard any other person say this, so this is a hot take. But The Rider is harrowing. Like Nomadland is got all these Oscar nominations. I don't think it'll win Best Picture. I don't think it can win Best Picture in this year, but it's great that it got nominated. But I'm really disappointed that her next film is The Eternals. Just seems. It's like you got these two great build-ups of this. Someone who does this. It might not be everyone's flavour, but the fact that she mixes in real world people and real people and with actors and narrative and stuff like that is her unique voice, And I was interested to see where she goes with that, after Nomadland, and where she goes with it is doing Eternals, and I'm just a little bit I'm a bit bummed out by that. I am a little bit bummed out by that, even though maybe the Eternals be wonderful. I just think it's a bit, I don't know, annoying, I guess.
Well, it's got a great cast in that, and apparently they've kind of they've got a whole new revolutionary way that they're filming Eternals, so I'm quite interested to see that. And they've got Kumail in it, and I love Kumail, so
yeah. What's he just been announced for Obi-Wan as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm interested to know who he's playing in that.
Yeah, he's just getting all the roles.
Yeah, Disney definitely like to stick within their kind of. Once you're in the Disney system,
yes,
you get put into every other franchise, don't you?
You get shoved into everything, and then they see what you fit.
Yeah, you get an animated film, you get a Marvel film, and you get a Star Wars film.
Yeah, you definitely get a voiceover.
Yeah. Well, look at what's his name? Childish Gambino. What's his name? He's in Spider-Man. He's done voiceovers for Lion King, and he's in Star Wars.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Although I guess technically Spider-Man's Sony, but
yeah, true. Is he in 2 Spider-Man? Is he just in?
No, he's just
1?
in. Well, he technically plays Miles Morales' uncle, the one who becomes the Prowler.
Yeah, is he a voice in Spider-Verse? He's not, is he?
Don't think so. No.
For some reason, I thought he was. And yeah, the only other thing I've watched, really, I think I said to you the other day that I watched Another Round. Or
oh yeah.
It's called. Is it called Drunk?
Drunk. Yeah.
Danish or something and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
I've heard really good things about this.
And I can absolutely see why Thomas Vinterberg got that director nom. I think he's probably up there for my own nomination. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I just haven't seen a film like this before. It's a unique voice. It's a unique kind of story. Not that there isn't films about kind of men in a mid-age crisis before, but just the way it's structured and the way it works together, and the how depressing it is mixed with the kind of life affirmingness of it is definitely something unique. And I just like Mads Mikkelsen is just an amazing actor. Like, he's seriously one of those examples of when is he bad? Like, seriously, when is he bad?
Yeah.
Even in films I didn't understand what was going on, like Valhalla Rising, he's still like, he's really good. Like,
wasn't he in a Bond film and he just cried blood?
Casino Royale, yeah.
He had blood tears.
He played Le Chiffre or something, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. I saw you watch Police Story as well.
I did watch Police Story. I got told off for watching Police Story by Brandon.
Well, no, I had to bring this up because Brandon chastised you by saying, how dare you give it 4 stars out of 5. It's a 5-star worthy film. And I just went on Police Story on Letterboxd just to have a little look. And I saw his review and he gave it 4.5. What a bastard.
And now you're not going to let him live that down?
No, I'm not. I've screenshot it. I'm going to make banners. I'm going to put it on billboards outside of his house. It's going to go everywhere.
I am slowly getting talked into maybe I underrated that as well, I have to say. But it's only because the middle of the film gets a little lost. Don't tell me.
A little bit.
But like the end of that film is stunning. Like absolutely just stunning. And like it's just Jackie Chan is amazing.
There's so many of those Police Story films as well. There's like
there's like 6 or something, isn't there?
There's loads of them.
Like, and they go in varying degrees of like seriousness and like and rebootness and things. It's
sounds like Godzilla. Like
which I think is out this week, Monkey versus Lizard.
I want King Kong to win because he's my favourite.
I want Lizard to win. I want Godzilla
Nah,
to
King
win.
Kong's the original big monster, and he was stop motion, so he has my vote.
Fair enough. Yeah. I bet you the end of that film is another monster turns up and they team up to beat that monster.
Well, if you watch the trailer closely enough, you can see shades of Mechagodzilla in there. And I have a feeling that the Godzilla that you think is Godzilla actually isn't Godzilla. Maybe.
It's an evil Godzilla.
Exactly.
Talking of Godzilla, I watched Mothra versus Godzilla.
Oh yeah.
And that film is a load of fun, and I absolutely recommend it. And it's weird as fuck. It's like there's a whole thing about an egg, which I was getting a little lost on, but I think it's Mothra's egg, and Mothra's trying to protect it, and stuff happens. I was going to spoil it then, but I won't.
It's just so crazy how far they devolve into madness from what the first film is. It's like
Mothra versus Godzilla has this whole like thing about these tiny people that worship like Mothra, like this like civilization of tiny people that worship Mothra and sing to Mothra. It was very much a case of me watching this going, what's going on? What? I'm liking it, but it's insane.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out because James gave me that USB stick with all 500 Godzilla films on. So I'm going to
keep watching more.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the second American one, to be honest. So I need to get that and go.
I saw the Gareth Edwards one.
Yeah,
which I honestly didn't make much of an impact on me, if I'm very honest.
I watched it and then I think I forgot it as soon as I watched it.
Yeah, and I think it just went straight out of my head. Have you watched anything then?
Yeah, I watched. I finally got round to watching Us the other day.
Oh, cool.
Directed by Jordan Peele. And I thought it was fantastic, completely and utterly bonkers.
Yeah.
But brilliant, like Get Out. I thought Get Out was great, and but it's like everything is quite on the nose in that film. It's like it's completely easy to follow. You know what's going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Us, God knows what the fuck's going on in that film, but I loved everything about it. You know, in the middle, it's like becomes a horror comedy, and you know,
yeah, sure, yeah.
It goes a bit more like not psychedelic, but a bit more experimental, weird kind of. And I don't know, I really liked it, and
it brings the scope out as well. I thought it was like going to be a small film, as well, and I didn't realise how big the film was.
Oh yeah, I mean,
watching
you
it,
know,
like...
I don't want to. I know it's not a new film, but I don't want to spoil anything about it if anyone actually.
Yeah,
listens to
if
this
someone's
podcast.
not, if someone's not seen it, it's not fair to spoil that out of everything. I think. Like,
Yeah, but like Lupita Nyong'o is.
Yeah.
She's just amazing.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
And like, there's a twist in the film, but I got it pretty much from the first scene, and I don't think it's a film that kind of. I think they know that you know what the twist is.
Right.
I felt. But I could be wrong.
I don't remember getting it that early myself, but like the twist doesn't make the film. It's not.
No, definitely no. I mean, it will give you a lot of questions. Like afterwards, you're thinking, "Well, that doesn't work. That doesn't make sense." But it's not a film that's about that. You know what I mean? It's not about that.
It's not about nitpicking details.
Yeah, but it's really, really.
It's
well
social
done.
commentary, so yeah. No, it's cool. I'm absolutely like whatever he does, he's going to be great.
It's like 1 minute you think, "Oh, is this about race?" Then you think, "No, it's not actually about that. It's about this. It's about everything." It's like there's so many things like crammed in there, ideas and stuff. It's really well done.
He's got one of my favorite quotes when they were interviewing him about that film, and someone was like, "Do you think he'll ever make a film about a horror film with white people in?" And the guy was just
who the fuck would ask him that? Oh god,
I can't remember who it was, and the guy was just like, "No, I've seen that film." So I was like, yes, absolutely.
But what I thought about this film was it didn't. I don't want this to sound bad, but it didn't make a point of going, "Oh, this is a black person's horror film." It was just a horror film.
Sure.
For me, it just happened to be the cast was mainly black, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I thought, there's definitely commentary in there about that I'm not saying there isn't.
Yeah, I was going to say
like,
the absolutely writing of it is about the fact that it's like a black experience film.
But like on the it kind of it doesn't throw that in your like it does it in a very I don't know what the word or what I'm trying to say. It's for late people. It's not. I don't know. It's not a subtle film, but it is subtle as well. It's I don't know.
Sure, it's not like. I guess maybe that was more marketing, where Get Out was a big thing that finally, like, maybe finally, whatever. I mean, Ernest Dickerson, but we're getting a story that is a horror film about black people, which is not tended to be something that happens a lot over the years. So, and maybe, hopefully, that's getting normalised. Maybe that's
totally.
The difference, like.
Well, because originally, you'd watch Scream, and there'd be the best friend that dies straight away, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Because I watched Tales of the Crypt presents Demon Night yesterday, which is
is this Bobby Z produced?
No. Because produced maybe, but it's directed by Ernest R. Dickerson, who's one of the very few black American filmmakers who made horror films throughout his career and ended up mainly doing TV. But he's done a few films that made like big. I think Juice with Tupac was a big film for him, and he did like Bulletproof with Adam Sandler.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
And he did like Bones, which with a Snoop Dogg as like a vampire. Which looks amazing. I have not seen it myself, but yeah, he did the Demon Night, and you would love it. The practical effects in that is absolutely what you love, you want to see in films, like the kind of squishiness, gooiness, practical effects of it all. Like, is exactly what you love to see, and you would absolutely love Demon Night. I think it will absolutely work for you. Nice. But it made me think of it because the final girl in it is Jada Pinkett Smith. So I was watching it going, this is the final girl's black. Cool. Like, and that's like, for this is like 95, and that's like maybe one of the only times that happened, like before like modern era or something. I don't know. I have no exhaustive knowledge of
going to Jada Pinkett Smith. I find her a hard actress to get endeared to. I don't know what it is about her, but she's got a coldness to her that I don't kind of warm to with her. I don't know how you feel. I don't know. I don't know. That might be The Matrix that did that. I don't know.
That's true. I only really know her from The Matrix. I know she's in one of the Screams. I can't remember which one.
Scream 2. She
is it
dies at
Scream
the
2?
beginning.
I don't know. She's a hard one to pin down for me. I've never really I don't find her very memorable. I guess that's what I'm saying.
You know, she's got a new metal band as well called like Twisted Sister or Wicked Sister. Yeah.
Awesome. Now I like her 10 times more.
I watched another film as well, talking about squishy, gooey stuff. I watched a film called Uncle Peckerhead.
Okay.
And this is like a low-budget kind of, it's like a punk horror film, and it's about a punk band that goes on tour. And their driver... Well, basically, they've got a van. Their van gets like repossessed because they've got no money and stuff, and they're about to go on tour. So they're like, "Oh, we need a van," and they find this guy who's got a van, and his name's Uncle Peckerhead, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll take you on. I'll take you on your tour." And but the catch is that at midnight every night for 13 minutes he turns into a zombie.
Okay.
And it's a very low budget film, and but I kind of really enjoyed it. It's like it hasn't got very good reviews on like IMDb or whatever, but I kind of thought it's quite funny. And like when they're playing music, like it felt quite genuine. Like the songs were quite good, and
yeah,
you know, and they've got like a rival band that's kind of like an arsehole band and stuff like that. And I just kind of enjoyed it. It's got like over the top, like. It's definitely got like punks versus metalheads. So like the punks are trying to sleep in the van at the end. Because like, if you've ever been in a band, it's very like my friend Tom, who's been in loads of bands and done tours around Europe and Britain and stuff like that. He recommended it to me because he was like, "This is minus the zombie stuff. Like I relate to so much of this stuff, like asking people to stay, like random people to stay at their houses after shows, or sleeping in the footwell of a van and stuff like that." And like they're trying to sleep in the car park, and then this like car pulls up, and these metalheads come out, and they just pull out their boom box with the cassette tapes, and they start like just like moshing, the two of them like throwing beer everywhere. It's like really over the top and silly, but I just found it quite fun. I don't know.
So cool. I was looking up to see like what people were saying about it, and I like this review. This is a 3-star review. It goes, "It's fun but ultimately unrealistic. No demon would ever hang out with punks and hate metalheads."
Fair enough. It's cool as well. It's like a female fronted like punk band, like the drummer's singer's a girl, and they've got a male on bass, on guitar or whatever. But it's really cool. I really liked it. Do you remember? Didn't they do a cartoon of Tales from the Crypt?
Definitely. I definitely remember Tales of the Crypt cartoon. You know, I've been kind of working my way through them as well, really slowly, like over a few years, like watching them now and again. The HBO series. They're very endearing. I do really like them.
I think I've only ever seen one, and one was a vampire that used to like all I remember is him robbing blood from blood banks and stuff like that. That's all I remember.
That sounds like it could be an episode. Who knows?
Oh, before we get on to the main topic, did you watch the Suicide Squad trailer?
I did. Absolutely loved the Suicide Squad trailer. I'm so on board, and I squealed when Starro appeared.
That was amazing.
I'm so on board. I watched the trailer a few times to see if there were little Starros. I need little Starros that go on people's faces. I need that to happen because that's like my favourite thing about Starro. But if that film could be basically like the Suicide Squad are the only people that aren't controlled by Starro, and like they're like all the kind of supervillains that are like got Starros on their faces. I've seen superheroes. Sorry, that's something I can get behind. I would love that.
But King Shark looks amazing. He's definitely become the Groot of this film, isn't he? Like, and you know that like James Gunn is like just happy that Warner Brothers have let him like off the leash, and he can kind of do his blood and guts and kind of.
That's true because that's not something he's been able to do with Marvel, has it? Really?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, he came from Troma and then doing like Slither and Super. I love Super.
Did he do one of the Toxie films?
No, he wrote Tromeo and Juliet.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
He may have worked on some of them though, because I know he's good friends with Uncle Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah, and I'm sure that those kind of that production company or that kind of studio are very kind of Wild West. You know, it's that indie stuff when everyone's in together and sharing each stuff. So I imagine he probably had a hand in something.
We should definitely do a Troma film for one of the days.
Yeah, we should do a Troma film. When did they start?
Well, it would have been Toxic Crusaders or Toxic Avengers. So what was that, like 81, 82, something like that?
84.
It was 84. Such a weird film. I've watched.
I don't think I've seen it. I might have, but I just don't remember it if I have.
Like, I watched Class of Nukem High with James a few months ago.
Yeah.
I say a few months ago. I'm talking about a year and a half ago. I haven't seen anyone in about a year.
Is that with the great Tom Savino? Is that his name?
I think so. Just expect a whole heap of sexism, racism. Like,
Sure.
you kind of got to go into these knowing that this is going to happen.
No,
And I'm not saying they're great films, but they're definitely something. Do you know what I mean?
They've got a definite love behind them, and like no one's kind of running after to cancel them because it didn't make any money at the time. Like let alone later. But they're definitely a part of kind of like Hollywood history or like movie history. They're definitely like a they've got their place, when we talk about kind of films. So we should do a trailer. I'm up for that. And talking of that, like, because we've finished our little mini-series.
I know we have. We forgot to do a little fanfare that we finished it.
Yeah. We just barreled on into this sleepy record. But and as we always do when we tie up our mini-series, we kind of just do a couple of more kind of hangover films, like a couple of more just hanging on, like to try and tie up maybe a few more that we want to watch and talk about, and talk about ones that were quite influential and as well is what we try and do. So so this one we got like a weird one. I think it was you that suggested this. Is there any reason like this came on your kind of radar or anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a film I've like always known about, but I really didn't know anything about it. I just knew that it was quite like well revered, and I was just in CEX, which is a British kind of second-hand video game Blu-ray store, and
I hope they're just British. I can't imagine they're international.
No, I saw them on the. What? It's
basically GameStop of Britain, isn't it? Like without the kind of share stuff.
And I think GameStop is more like Game or EB or whatever we had back in the day, or Game Station. So. But anyway, I saw it on the shelf and it just was calling to me. So I bought it and I thought, well, I've got so many Blu-rays that I haven't watched. It'd definitely be a good one to put on our film list, so I could kind of tick it off. And I'm actually very glad that I did.
Yeah, this is a thing.
Because this was up against Rafifi, I think, and Rafifi won out in our.
Was it Rafifi?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it was. We were going to do one in the main series and one not, and I can't remember why they ended up the way they did. I don't think it, but this is a thing. This is. I'm so glad you brought this up because it's so unique. I don't think I've ever seen a film that's quite this unique, really.
I know there's so many different tones and things going on, but it all works really, really well.
And it's such a statement film, like in so many ways about like what he wants to do with it and what they're trying to do. They're doing something really specific, and it's really nice watching it after we've seen all the other films from the 50s because it doesn't look like any other film we did. It doesn't sound like any other film we did. Like the
sound is great, isn't it?
It sounds amazing, yeah. Like honestly, like the mixing of it and the editing is just all about it. The way like his voice haunts the film and like and the background noises and things and that song, that at the beginning of the stuff is just wonderful. And like most of this I assume was shot on sets, but because of the sound mixing as well, I was fooled a lot of times that this was shot on location.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was mostly, I think, budgetary. You'd think it'd cost more to build sets than to actually go out and film on location. I don't really understand the logistics of that. But yeah, apparently most of it was shot on sets and stuff. But I think that's to the film's benefit.
Yeah. Yes, because it gives it
such a unique...
Yeah,
totally.
And that's the thing about this. Like, it's a film noir, maybe, but it's really like it's like a fairy tale film.
It's a fairy tale thriller kind of. I guess.
Yeah. Which when I was kind of like doing some reading about this after I'd watched it, Guillermo del Toro loves this film.
Guillermo del Toro, yeah.
Guillermo del Toro absolutely loves this film, yeah, and saw him do an interview about it, and like he picked up like a couple of scenes and he picked up the quality of this and just went, I've been trying to recreate like this shot my whole career, kind of thing. Like this like fairy tale children aspect of it is what I've been doing throughout all of my career. Which I just like, I was like, yep, that's definitely what you've been trying to do.
You can tell that, like at the end of like The Shape of Water, Under the Water, and how it like,
yeah,
you can tell it's trying to evoke that look of when under the water with the wife in the car and stuff like that, with the kind of the hair blowing in the, not blowing but floating in the water and stuff.
That's the one he picked up on. He literally showed that scene and went, I've been trying to recreate this hair floating in the water scene my entire career.
Yeah,
like, this is like haunted me, this shot. And that shot is amazing. Like
it's fantastic.
And I think it's
like the view of when the old man, the uncle or whatever, is like looking over the water, looking down on it. Even like that's my favourite one. I love that. Although I don't think it would ever be that clear though, the water.
No, but that's like,
but again, that goes into that fairy tale kind of
that otherworldliness of it, that kind of weird fairy tale-ness that absolutely works with the way they shoot this. And like there's so much in it about like German Expressionism.
Yeah, I've got that written in my notes. Yeah,
which I think he was admittedly trying to evoke that purposefully. It's not accidentally. And mixing that with kind of German fairy tales and stuff like that, like it really does add to that kind of weirdness about it. And I don't know. Watching it, I was like, I can't believe this wasn't a movement. I can't believe more people didn't shoot in like a modern expressionist style or something.
I mean, like I think from the first screenings, like the studio just said it's too arty, and I just don't think they kind of got it, and they probably didn't back it like they probably should have done. Do you know what I mean? So it probably just kind of got lost because
because it was a complete flop. It was a complete flop at the time.
Yeah.
It didn't make any impact whatsoever.
Well, I mean, so much so that Charles Laughton didn't direct again afterwards because he thought, "Oh, my bad."
Yeah. I think it took him 7 years or something to try and get another film off the ground, and he never ended up doing it. And I think he died in the 60s, which is sad because I can't imagine what else he might have done. This is such an exciting film. Like,
I know.
And all the kind of, I was reading that like Robert Altman, of all people, is another person who was like inspired by this and was trying to echo this in loads of films he made. Like Cahiers du Cinema, like elected it as the second best film of all time in like 2008 or something. Like that's
yeah.
And it's kind of influence, and it goes like beyond that. Even like Robert Mitchum's character, of Harry, like the love and hate tattoos. That I didn't know that was from this. I can't believe that's from something. I can't believe that's something in my like that I just know so like easily in like.
So that didn't exist
references.
Before that.
No, apparently not. Apparently this is like
so that never. Oh shit!
Which is insane. And maybe it must have existed in just like maybe like prison tattoos or something. I don't know. But as far as I can tell, this is it. This is the first like instance of it. And almost every reference to love and hate on For Someone's Hands is from this. And they have that wonderful scene where Robert Mitchum when he's explaining it as well.
In my head, I like to think that, like how in The Dark Knight when Heath Ledger's Joker's like telling his story about his scars.
Yes.
I like the idea that every time he'd probably tell that, it's different. Do you know what I mean? Because I think you only see it the once. He only tells it the once properly. He goes into telling it the next time, but I don't think you ever see it.
Yeah, but, yeah. And he has a proper sermon about it, like, in this hand beats, this is the hand that beat Cain, and this is love, and old lefty and righty, and lefty's coming over to beat righty. I was just like, this is captivating. This is absolutely captivating. Like, what a performance by Robert Mitchum.
You could see why people would be won over by him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he enticed by him. He's got that charisma and that kind of an allure, really. he's interesting character as well. I couldn't help watching this and thinking, like, I think he's supernatural. I don't think he's a human. I think he's
like the Terminator.
Like,
he doesn't sleep. He just kind of like constantly on the move, trying to get these kids.
Yeah. If there was a scene in this of him walking at the bottom of the river chasing them, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm
I was half expecting him to walk out into the water when the kids go off on the boat.
When he's chasing them, yeah. And maybe, I mean, I don't know if they... I'm sure it must be purposeful. I can only think it's purposeful that basically you can read this as him being the devil or him being a demon. You know, his relationship with God is very personal in the way that he seems to think God definitely exists. Well, maybe he knows that because he's like the devil. You know, like, I know that he's based from a real serial killer, but I'm pretty sure Old Harry is a nickname for the devil. I'm pretty sure that's an old English nickname for the devil.
Let's have a look.
So him being called like Harry Powell links to that. But the way that he's... Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. So I was watching going, I think, is he meant to be the devil? Am I just reading that into it? But the way, I got convinced by that in the way that he kind of becomes more animalistic as the film goes on. Like, and more kind of unhinged and almost silly, like laughable. Do you know what I mean? Like when he's kind of squawking and jumping about the place and stuff.
But when he gets shot, the noise he makes.
Yeah, and runs off to the barn and things. It's really weird. It's like he's losing like all his composure as a human or something.
Yeah, like the facade's coming off, and not that he had. I don't know, kind of.
Like the sheens come off. He can't do this cool combat anymore. He's just letting all this kind of drop away, and he's just like this weird monster below it. We haven't introduced a thing. We just got into this, by the way. So, to give a pause, we're doing the 1955 film The Night of the Hunter, directed by Charles Laughton.
Never told you thrown it in the river, did he?
I can hear you whispering, children, so I know you're down there. I can feel myself getting awful mad.
Here is all the passion and suspense, the heart-pounding warmth of the best-selling novel that gripped millions.
Well, wake up! Come on!
Superb, unforgettable performances by an extraordinary array of talent.
Figured I was gone, huh?
Run. Hide in the staircase. Run quick. Ruby, get. What do you want?
I want them kids.
I'm giving you to the count of 3 to get out of here. Then I'm coming across the kitchen shooting.
The combined powers of Paul Gregory and Charles Laughton brought the King Mutiny Court-Martial to Broadway. Now the screen receives that same creative, electrifying impact. The Night of the Hunter.
So, like, the kind of plot of the film is, it's actually quite a complicated plot, I think, even though it's not a very plotty film, but it's quite a complicated setup, I think. And
there's a lot at the beginning. There's a lot at the beginning, and then it kind of.
When when watching that, I just had no idea where this film was going. Do you know, like, just no clue. I didn't know any of this. I didn't know it at all. But like, we're set in like Depression era West Virginia, and this con man who kind of, he seems to be, or serial killer, I think he really is. He seems to kind of marry these rich women and kill them for their money. Seems to be the setup for him. He's just like, after a recent murder, he's driving into a new place and he ends up getting arrested
for having a stolen car.
Is it for stolen cars? I was about to say, I can't remember why he got arrested. And he gets locked up with another guy who'd recently robbed a bank, and we see him robbing the bank. Well, we didn't see him robbing the bank, but we see him hiding the money with his kids.
So he basically comes back home after the heist. I think he's killed 2 people, but he's stolen $10,000 from a bank, and then hides it upon one of his 2 children, and then in front of the children, the police arrest him. And it's quite a harrowing scene.
And he swears the oldest son, played by Billy Chapman, John, to secrecy, and you can never tell anyone about the money.
Yeah,
at all. And it's hidden in the doll of the young girl, Pearl.
Yeah, we don't know that for a while though. I think that's kind of hidden for a while, even in the film, isn't it? From us.
Oh, is it? I remember it being straight off, but you could be right.
I'm pretty sure
I was gonna say this. I lost my notes that I made during this film, so I am running absolutely with no.
The best bit we've missed though is the way that Harry drives the car.
Yes, I was gonna say he just grabs the middle weird little things.
Yeah, instead of holding the ring round the sides, he's holding the middle bit.
No one's ever driven a car like that ever.
No.
It looks so weird. And because he's going along, just driving, grabbing the weird little sticks in the middle of the steering wheel, yelling at God, basically. He's having a little chat to God, isn't he? So he poses a preacher. He meets this guy in jail and learns about this £10,000. The bank robber ends up getting put to death. And Harry, the preacher guy, gets out of jail later on. And he decides to go get the money that he learned about in jail.
In jail.
That's the setup. Yeah. That weirdly enough is the setup, and that's a big part of the opening of the film, but that's really just the start of the film.
Yeah, that's literally the first 15 minutes probably. I mean, it's quite a brisk film. It's only 90 minutes long. It moves along at a clip. Yeah. It's quite a fast-paced film, I think. Even though so no one knows where the money is apart from the son. The mom doesn't know. The mom, played by Shelley Winters, she has no idea where the money is. She doesn't even know if it exists really, or she kind of she doubts it's even a thing. And I think later on when it's brought up that it's in the river, she's like, well, okay, I know where it is now and I can just forget about it now. Or...
Yes. Yeah. She's kind of almost hounded by it. So, and her being a widow, then Harry comes into town to woo her. He does what he does, and it quite successfully kind of woos her, doesn't it? If I remember right,
very quickly. It's takes 2 scenes pretty much. But no, he does it by kind of seducing her friends first, though. And kind of getting her friends to kind of, because does she work in the shop, or is it a bakery or whatever? Or,
whatever that shop is that's run by is it Mr. and Mrs. Spoon or something?
I don't know. They keep calling each other Mater and Pater, I don't know, or Mother and Father. I don't know. It's weird, but
I think they run an ice cream bar or a milkshake bar or something. Yeah.
But so she's basically saying, you should get with him. You're getting older.
You're getting older, you're 30 or something, and and this is a lovely man of the cloth, and you should get with him, and he's lovely, and that's when he's doing his whole the story of lefty and righty, and it really captivating everyone, and with his ways.
I don't think that would captivate me, to be honest.
No, I think it's terrifying.
Me over.
But yeah, the rest of the film is just this kind of, the plot's hinging on this pursuit of the money, really, and really the elder son's desperation and determination to protect the money and his sister, really.
Yeah.
And
his dad, the promise he made to his dad.
And the promise he made to his dad, which I couldn't stop thinking about the whole film, is just but what is the end game when his dad's already dead?
Yeah. I mean, how harsh with those kids as well? They're all lining up outside their house or whatever, and then they're they draw the hangman.
Yeah, they're drawing the hangman, and like Pearl's singing along to the kind of song about her dad being hung.
Yeah.
That's fucking creepy scene, that is, actually. All this film is so creepy. And like everything we say is like it's shot on these isolated sets with so much control over the lighting. We should shout him out because its cinematography is Stanley Cortez, who was a cinematographer.
I think he's worked with our friend Orson Welles, isn't he?
He did Magnificent Ambersons, which is just this kind of like deep control of shadow and texture in the film, which is definitely what like Laughton wanted. And
because they tried to make it. The studio wants it in color, and he was like, "No,
I want this."
This has to be black and white.
And his big thing is that he wanted it to look like a silent film. He was obsessed with like the big kind of epic silent films that happened in that kind of era.
This film, if you had the volume off on this film, you could follow everything that happens in it.
Yeah,
I think.
you
Do you know
could.
what I mean? You could get everything out of it.
Absolutely.
But obviously, you don't want to do that because the sound is great.
No, it's all about the sound. Yeah, but I think there's a great line that he says that I had written down somewhere, but I think it's about when he was casting, and we'll talk about it later. But it's when he casting the lady at the end of the film, and Lillian Gish,
the Mother Goose kind of character.
Yeah. And like Lillian Gish she was called like the first lady of American cinema. Like she's like the first movie star, like female movie star of the silent era. We're talking like she was making films in like 1902, you know, like, and when she got cast as this character at the end of the film, she's shot and she's cast with like revenants of like this protector coming in, this old like statesperson coming in kind of thing, which is something we've talked about in quite a few films.
Was she at the very beginning?
Yes.
And she's kind of like
film,
matted with the stars behind her, and then the young children are kind of like watching or listening to her.
And as you say, she's like this Mother Goose or like protector character, the whole thing. I think she's amazing in this film. Like
fantastic.
Like, I was blown away by her performance. I was like, please tell me she won Oscars for this, which no one won anything for this.
When she came out with that giant shotgun,
oh god, it's so good.
I was howling.
I know. I was just like, she is a badass.
But she looked badass,
yeah.
Like, you know how I do my like little drawings of like film characters, like with a white background. Just I want to do one of her just with this massive shotgun.
Massive shotgun, yeah. No fear. That scene when he's sitting in the yard singing and she's sitting in a rocking chair inside,
and then starts singing
along as well.
It's such an amazing scene.
Oh, God, it's amazing. And like the lighting,
just
of
the
that
image
as well.
of him sitting on that like tree stump or whatever it is.
Yes,
it's just
in pure black. Yeah. It's the blacks in this that I can't get behind. Like, not me, and can't get behind it. It's hard to describe without seeing it. They're absolutely just like shadow blacks, like it's puppet shadow theatre.
Well, his suit is that black that it's just kind of like encompass it, like it like swallows in the light. Do you know what I mean? It's He's just like he's that kind of, like, and like the mother, like he kind of completely corrupts her and kind of you know, turns her into this like, I don't know, like evangelical kind of like God-fearing woman. It's
so good.
I love how they do the wides of those sets where they kind of black out the sides, so it's kind of like framed, like, you know, that you can definitely tell it's not a location because the way they can shoot these kind of wides, and they do it in the bedroom where it kind of goes into a point.
Yes.
And then and he's like looking up at the light, like he's
looking up at the skylight.
Skylight.
Yeah.
And then the cellar as well.
That's like a Nosferatu kind of shot. Like,
and then you've kind of got the stuff like when the kids like pull up on their boat, because the kids escape later on in the film.
Yeah.
They pull up at this like farm, but I think it's literally just a flat wooden structure that's like put in a perspective, because it's literally just black, and it's just almost like just painted black.
It's almost like it's just the
it's like
front
Dr.
facade
Caligari's, you know, kind of like
it gives such like, because the end of the film, it's a Christmas film, because the end of the film is set around Christmas with the snow globe.
I'm going to watch this every Christmas now.
I am. This is definitely a Christmas film.
If Die Hard's a Christmas film, this is.
Yeah, this finishes with a Christmas message. Like, it does. The little ones abide, which some.
I tell you what, if
that's
someone
where the dude abides comes from in Coen Brothers comes from this film.
If someone gave me a present of my own apple in my own doily, I'd be very upset. With a peg on it. What's the peg doing?
I don't know. It's the depression, Ollie. They actually struggled.
That's true.
They can't just go out to Toys R Us.
That's true.
But yeah, what was I saying before I get distracted? Oh yeah, the snow scene at the end with like the isolated farmhouse. It looks like a snow globe because of the way it's just. Like,
yeah.
As you say, it's so constricted with the blacks on the side. It looks like a Tim Burton-y kind of like, just set like trapped in something. Tim Burton-y actually. Yeah, it looks like that kind of like isolatedness.
100%. Yeah.
I just can't. I couldn't believe I was watching this for the 1955 film. I couldn't like. It's just especially a guy who made one film.
Well, like when the kids are like going across the, the river. Yeah. And it's kind of got the overlaid images of like the bank where you see like the animals, like so it's kind of like
frogs
but they're all like it's either predator and prey, so you kind of got like the spider and the spider web. The fox, and then you've kind of got the turtle. You know what I mean? And like later on, you've kind of got. I mean, it's a bit more spelled out that one where you've got the owl that kind of attacks the bunny rabbit.
Yeah.
But,
it's just.
But I love that look, like because obviously if you were shooting that normally, the images in the foreground would be out of focus unless you like using one of those split diopters or whatever.
Sure.
But it's like it's definitely an effect, but it gives it that, as you say, that otherworldly fairy tale feel to it. And
come on.
I couldn't help like the bit where when they're on the boat. It reminded me of a music video I made with Natalie called for a band called Bury Tomorrow, where I had Natalie in a boat and I put all like I filmed water elements and stuff like that, and then took pictures and comped it all together to make this kind of surreal. My idea was to make it look like the not Paradise Lost, one of those. What's the other one the guy did? What's it called? Dante's Inferno. Those kind of things. But if you look at it, I'd never seen this film before. But if you look at what I shot, you'd have thought that's what I would have based this film. Yeah.
No way.
Obviously, it's nowhere near as good as this film. What I did, but
it's that like we keep going back to it. It's just that sense of fakeness in this. It helps it. It doesn't need to feel real. The sense of like fairy tale-ness, otherworldliness, fantasy elements like help this film work. It makes everything feel realer in a weird way, which is like
definitely.
And it's the use of like you've talked about this a lot about didactic sound. This
diegetic
has like
or non-diegetic.
Diegetic, thank you. Yeah, diegetic sound. This has like diegetic light, if that makes sense.
Oh
like,
yeah, definitely.
Like the use of the key light, like illuminating stuff, is not based upon any reality of the scene.
Oh yeah.
Like there's lights like when like Shelley Winters is lying on the bed, there's a light around her face. The scene we talk about when Lillian Gish is like in the rocking chair with the gun, the key light is like shadowing her like she's Whistler's mother with a gun. But that light's not coming from anywhere. It's literally just lit for the scene.
Yeah, there's another one where I think one of the characters, I've forgotten who it is now, but it almost looks like reflection of water bouncing back on them, so it's got that ripple effect on their face and stuff like that.
And I kept on noticing that, how it was unrealistic lighting, and it's not in a bad way, like it wasn't distracting. Totally. It was absolutely aiming for it. And that scene with the gun that we keep talking about, the tension of when the elder girl, Rose, I think it is, comes in with the candle, changes the lighting of the scene, hides him in the background because you can no longer see outside because it's now lit up inside too much, and he moves, and you actually can see him move in the background. I just was like, this is wonderful. This is some of the best thing that's ever been shot. And I was just transfixed. I was just transfixed by this whole thing. I just couldn't. I wanted to know what was going next, and I couldn't believe. Like the more we should say, like he marries the widow and kind of traps her, kind of gets her obsessed with like religion and stuff like that. Starts like beating her and stuff like that, and eventually kills her. I think he slits her throat and then runs the car off into a river. Of Shelley Winters' character, and when like that's the scene when underwater where like you've got the fishing rod coming in and her hair is like blowing into the water with like seaweed and stuff like that. It's a haunting shot.
Yeah,
and which was apparently done by a mannequin with a Shelley Winters mask on.
Oh really? It looks quite. I thought it was
the way they achieved that.
Looked quite realistic.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that in the slightest. Once that happens, the film kind of devolves in the fact that it's just the kids versus Harry then, and they basically choose to escape, and it's almost like kind of Gretel and Hansel and Gretel kind of escaping into the forest.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
It is, isn't it?
And they just jump onto a boat to try and get away from him, to go down like the bayou or wherever they are. I don't know, like go down the rivers. And that's the point of this shift in the film where it gets more and more kind of surreal in its shooting. And
well, yeah, because that's where you see the animals on the riverbank, and
yeah,
like
you're saying,
the farm later on and stuff like that.
And you see the kind of a shot that I'd seen before, but I didn't know it was from this. But the elder kid's like sitting in like a train cart, or he's sitting somewhere. He's looking into the distance, and in the distance, silhouetted is him on a horse.
Is that when he's in the barn, isn't he?
He's in the barn, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
he's in the barn and just
it looks amazing.
on the horizon. Yeah.
So good.
All practical effects, and it was done by hiring like a little person and like a pony, a miniature horse.
Really?
That was shot. Yeah.
No way.
So the perspective was all different, but they can get him on it and make it look. It's just amazing, and like that moment of like the kid just going, "Does this guy ever sleep?" Is that like the moment of him just becoming this supernatural kind of evil that's chasing them, like you say, like the Terminator.
I mean, like we do see one scene where he's in bed, and it's on his honeymoon or his wedding night.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
And so his new wife, she wants a bit of fun, as you would, and he's obviously he's got serious issues with women. And,
yes.
He tells her to look in the mirror. And he says, "What do you see? Do you look at yourself? What do you see?" And he goes, "Do you see yourself wanting any more children?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, then that's an end to that. Then we're never going to have sex, basically."
Yeah.
And then she talks to God and says, "Help me, find the light, whatever, like kind of help me."
He convinces her that she's a sinner. Like it's proper kind of like gaslighting, almost, isn't it? Like
like the next scene you see her and she's like, she's preaching, isn't she?
Yeah. That stuff, like, because his characterization is so interesting for the 50s, and I can't get into this too much, but there's a podcast I listen to who talk about this quite a lot. But the idea of like almost the idea of a paedophile, an idea of like a child abuser, didn't exist in a kind of the same way it does now in the 50s. Like, it's not that it was inventive, obviously it happened, but there was a general idea that like someone abusing a child wasn't a thing.
No, you'd have child killers, wouldn't you? But you wouldn't have.
Yeah. And like the idea of like that happening in a family environment, that definitely wasn't a thing. This like it's much later than and that's like when Stranger Danger starts coming in, like the 80s and stuff like that, when the idea of like what we think of like as child abuse now kind of solidifies in our society. Again, not to say it didn't happen, but like the 50s, this character embodies all of that. Like he's a child predator. He's played as like paedophilic. He is. The way like there's a scene where he's bouncing the young girl Pearl on his knee, and he's
the way she comes to him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just creepy, isn't it? Yeah.
Later on, when with the Lillian Gish character, she's got like an army basically of like orphan children she looks after. Like
they're all washed up on the bank.
Yeah, they wash up on the river, and she looks after them with a shotgun.
They've got another one.
There's the eldest one, Rose, who's only like 13ish or something like that. He approaches her. Harry approaches her in like the ice cream shop, and that scene is like full of that predatory kind of, not sexual tension, but that predatory kind of attention, which I couldn't believe that context was in this film, and it's not me adding to it later. This is in it. Like,
no,
he does all this. He does these weird like curls and flicks of his knife and stuff like that are like broadly kind of like phallic,
isn't it? Yeah. Like he does it when he's watching like the girly show at the beginning.
Yes,
like, you know, there's a dancer.
Yeah,
and, like
he gets like angry at it though. Like he gets angry at it rather than kind of sexually like aroused by it.
I think it's a bit of both, really. Like he's obviously angry at himself. He probably, you know, why else would he be there? I don't know. Like
yeah. It's weird, and it embodies all this weird like evilness of sexual tension or paedophilic, predatory or stuff. It's all in it, and I was like, I mean, I'm surprised it got past the censors, but I'm not, because, as I say, I don't think it was a thing that was entirely like understood by the censors when they're watching it. I don't think it would be entirely on people's minds in the same way like we watch it and go, Christ.
They probably just thought he's a bad man who wants $10,000.
Yeah, basically, and I think that's missing that nuance of it and stuff like that, and watching it as just a weird kind of art thing is completely missing the point of what it's doing. And as it descends into this more fantasy fairy tale world, that's, you know, what I got from it was that proper like evil, that devil, that like creature from it. I wouldn't be, you know, as I say, if the film ends with his skin tearing off and he becomes a demon, I'll be like, yeah, that's totally what the film was doing. Like, it would have fitted for me totally. And God, what a film. Like, what every elements of this is so just interesting. The love and hate stuff on these knuckles and things, and everything's dreamlike. And the music, we should say about the music as well, like it was composed by Walter Schumann, who's most famous for composing Dragnet theme.
It's a good theme though, that is.
It's a great theme. But like the fact that like, and also like the writer that they brought on as well, because this is based on a book, it's based on a real serial killer called I think he was called Harry Powers. Sorry, he was called Harry Powers. He was hanged in 1932 for the murder of 2 widows and their kids. And a book was written about it called Night of the Killer. And
I think it's called Night of the Hunter, wasn't it?
Sorry, Night of the Hunter. I'm sorry, yeah. And he then adapted the book for the screen. And I think when Charles Laughton took on like a writing partner for this, he took on James Agee. And James Agee was known for doing these kind of like southern kind of dramas and stuff like that.
Southern Gothic. Well, it's definitely used like a Southern Gothic kind of.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's what, like, at the time when they were doing this, Southern Gothic wasn't a term. So like they were doing what we come to know as Southern Gothic before it was like really existed. And I think that those few choices, the choice of the music, the choice of James Agee, the choice of like the cinematographer Stanley Cortez, those are like specific choices he's making to make this. These are not like studio things getting thrown at him. He's not picking up any writer that can help him do this. He's picking up these really specific talents to make something specific that he wants to do. And I think that's just what I found so like really like endearing about it, that none of this was like, it's not accidental. This absolutely planned in the same way, like, you know, GDT, Guillermo del Toro does, you know, to make this kind of stuff. And
it also almost feels a bit of Coen Brothers-ish as well. Absolutely. I feel like I could see the Coens doing, like, you know, the character of this guy feels a bit like that Sugar character. Do you know what I mean? That kind of like just that pure evil kind of, that just
in like Old Country.
Yeah.
I would say True Grit as well is almost like, it's not a remake of this, but True Grit has so much of this in it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has more of this in it than it does like the original True Grit, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I would like, interesting. I mean, it's worth noting that like Robert Mitchum, the guy who plays Harry, he was known for playing his hero roles. He played cop roles and stuff like that. He never really played villains before. And when like he was trying to cast this role, he went to like Gary Cooper and he went to John Carradine and stuff. And I think Laurence Olivier as well was another person he went to. And apparently like Robert Mitchum was really keen to play his character. He kind of knew it in his head. He knew what he could do with it and stuff. And apparently when Laughton was talking to him about the character, he said that he's a diabolical shit, and Mitchum just went, "Yep, present. Like, I can do that." Like, and that's kind of what sold him on it. And when they were talking about the weirdness of that, he has like a sexual element to the kind of character, and there was a lot of concerns about portraying a preacher as sexy. Basically, like, would that offend the church really? And apparently, Charles Laughton, he was just like, well, if you need to sell God to someone, you got to be sexy to sell.
Yeah, you got to be totally.
And you got to be appealing to it. And I think he gets that. And I think the other thing to say about like Charles Laughton as well is that he was bisexual, and quite knowingly bisexual, if that makes sense.
Okay.
He was. I wouldn't say he was. Like the terms lose me, but he wasn't like out as a bisexual person. Yeah. Like, but he was openly in that way. And he thought about, like, he had trouble with his sexuality, like I think anyone in the 50s did. And he talked about that a lot and wrote about it a lot, and put that stuff into like his performances and if he had written more stuff, his work. And the stuff that he's talked about in making this as well, he put the anger into this about the church. Like, he blamed the church a lot for his like for having that repression in him and for hating himself because of that. He blamed it on the church and the really strictness of the church. And so like this preacher character is actually an element of all that anger that he had towards the church coming out in this character, and trying and portraying this kind of preacher elements as predatory and as like negative, which quite startling really, I think, is a product of that. When you talk about kind of, you know, auteurs and what auteurs bring to a film, I think this is that, you know.
He nailed on his first attempt.
Yeah. Another thing is, when I say that this being like a really kind of exact film, is the casting of Lillian Gish as well. I would say like she was one of the stars of silent film, but more importantly, like she was a star of like D.W. Griffith films. And like, I don't know if we'll cover D.W. Griffith on the podcast. Right. I think I'd rather not, because he's an incredibly complicated man. But if there's one person that you talk about in silent movie era making like these huge epic films, like bigger than anyone was ever making, it's him. Like, he made these huge, massive epics with huge sets, huge amount of characters, in a way that no one was really shooting at the time. Most famously is Way Down East, and also like The Birth of a Nation, which we know nowadays. We now know it nowadays. That's not a sentence. Nowadays we know that film because it was the rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan, and that's what this film started. And it's like a retelling of the American kind of myth of its origins through the eyes of the Ku Klux Klan, and pretending they were really important to the origins of the country. It's full of incredible racism, and it's full of incredible blackface and stuff like that. Like, and all the kind of horrible elements of all that is in this film. And it was a massive film. Like, I think in some ways its popularity has been overstated over the years, but in terms of a film from like 1916, it was the biggest film of the decade, really, by far. and we're talking a huge like film. We're talking it played for years in cinemas. We're talking people went out to it multiple times. We're talking that it really settled into the concept, like people's brains of like films. Lillian Gish, she is like the face of D.W. Griffith's films. Like, she did tons of them. So like, when he was casting this film and tried to decide of like someone to put in, it was her that he kept on going back to over and over again, basically, and wanting her to bring her in, to have her at the end of this film as this kind of protector element of bringing that back into it. Like, and a great quote that I love when he was trying to talk her into this. He goes, like, she was like, why, like why me? Like, why do you want me to come back and do like a talkie? You know, like I haven't acted in years. And he was like, and he said, like, when I first went to the movies, they sat in their seats straight and they leaned forward, but now they slump down with their heads back and they eat candy and popcorn. And I really want them to sit up straight again. And but he said that to her, and she was like, "Okay, I'm on board. Like, okay, I'll do this kind of thing." And I think that little line is so much about this film, and so much about them when watching it. Like, you can see that he was absolutely trying to get your attention at every point and get you to kind of be just transfixed by what's happening on screen. I think it worked.
Yeah.
I need to take a drink. So
I was going to say Billy Chapman, who plays the son John. I feel like I've seen him in something, but I haven't. But I think he just kind of apes a lot of child actors of that time. But he was good, though. He was very good.
I would have said the same thing, that he's in stuff I've seen.
Like I would have said, feel like I've seen it, but I don't know if he's just got that kind of Leave It to Beaver kind of. I don't know.
No, I think he's really good. Actually, I think his performance is actually a lot of ways what helps the film work. I think he's quite naturalistic and you feel he's acting, really. Not feel he's acting, you know what I mean? Like, you're not put off by the child acting of it all.
No, definitely not. You know, he's in scenes where, you know, he kind of holds his own for sure.
Yeah.
There's a great scene where he comes back to find his sister, like, 'cause obviously we said they hide the money in her doll. She's cutting out like people out of $100 bill notes.
Yeah.
And you know, he panics and they start like shoving it back into the doll, and then behind them, silhouetted, you see Harry comes out like saying, you've got to come in now, and he's like, "What you doing?" And they're like scrambling to put it in. I thought that those cut out $100 bills would have come back, because you see them blowing. You see them blowing. So well timed.
Yeah.
And I thought he would have found them or something. I thought that would have been something he'd have used against them or something. But
I did think that. Yeah, I guess it's because at that point he still doesn't realise it's in the doll, and it's much later on when he finds out that's actually happening.
Yeah.
I say, like, between the two child actors as well, there is. I thought Sally Jane Bruce as Pearl was not as good as Billy.
No, but she was very young.
She's very young, and
very big forehead.
But apparently on set, her and Charles Laughton didn't get on, and I don't know why. The
little girl didn't get on.
Yeah, and apparently this is a documentary I didn't watch, but he shot this like a silent film, so he just shot the camera running all the time. He didn't cut all the time. He just left it rolling.
So yeah, I was saying that basically it's kind of a lot like how modern films are made now, where they'll just keep the camera running.
Oh, because film isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, but silent films used to do it because you could actually just shout over the top and tell them what to do as they're doing
exactly.
it. Whereas sync sound became a thing, you couldn't do that. You know, I guess it's partially like a budgetary thing as well. Like, you know, every time you have to stop and start on a set, that's, you know, causes time, and, you know, time is money. You know, like every time you stop, the makeup artists or the set dressers kind of get on set, the cinematographers, and they kind of really slow the process down. So if you're keeping the cameras running all the time, then, you know, you're speeding up the process.
So yeah, you wanted to cut and then give instruction and then keep it rolling again. Yeah, so not to waste like actual physical film. I didn't think of it like that way. There's so much about filmmaking that's physical, which is so much fun, I think. Like, and so much of stuff they do around films is because of the kind of physical limitations of actually doing it. But yeah, like, but what I was saying, like, so apparently a lot of her performance in this film is not her acting in the scene. Apparently a lot of it is her reactions to Charles, because she didn't like Charles. And so anytime Charles would like give instruction after the film or talk to her, she would scowl, basically, not like him, kind of thing, like, and just naturally act because she's a kid. And apparently a lot of those reaction shots and a lot of the stuff with her is actually just her reacting to Charles.
Maybe that was his intention. Could be Laughton's intention.
Maybe,
like, you know, like how, like, obviously we know that Spielberg, how he works with children, how good he is at getting performance out of children. Maybe the way he got a kid to be either afraid or kind of look upset with the character is just to be a bit of a shit to them. I don't know.
I think it's interesting, and I guess it worked. Like, I mean, like, have we gone through the plot with this? Like, I guess I interrupted a little bit, but like after Powell murders like Wilma, like Shelley Winters, then
he says that she's run away basically, and so everyone believes she's just abandoned him with the kids, and they kind of turn on her, and then the older man, who I think they say he's the uncle. I don't know if he's a real uncle, but if it's just like his it kind of lives in like on a boathouse. Uncle, and he goes fishing with the young boy and stuff. He kind of finds the dead body in the water, but I don't think he says anything to anyone.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah,
because he says that they'll blame me if they find out or something. But they know the wife's dead. They know she's dead though, so I don't know. I was a bit confused with that.
Yeah, I was a bit confused by that actually. There were a couple little things in this though. I was just like, I'm not totally sure, but I'll just let it go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's when Powell basically now learns about where the money's hidden. I think because he basically keeps nudging both the girl and the boy to kind of slowly revealing.
No, he basically they're in the house, and he said, "Oh, it's buried in the cellar under a rock." Because once he's died, they try and hide from him in the coal cellar and stuff. And
that's that really weird shot when it zooms like Looney Tunes into them.
Yeah, they're poking out and they've got little grubby faces.
Yeah.
But no, they say it's buried under a rock or something in the cellar, and he like says it's just pure cement here. And then they manage to like get one over, and they like knock a shelf on his head, and then they lock him in the room and stuff like that, and they get out, and that's how they escape. But it's not until he finds them at the lady's house that they find out it's in the doll.
I just remembered Birdie. Uncle Birdie. He kills himself, or he drinks himself into like he gets incredibly drunk or something because he thinks after he finds the body because he thinks that.
Yeah, he doesn't kill himself. I just think it
just gets really drunk. Is that
because they go to him for help, but obviously, and the little girl tries to go to sleep on the bed.
Yes. And that's when they steal his boat, or maybe his father's boat, or something like that. They steal a boat anyway from Birdie, isn't it, to go down the river. And they eventually bump into Rachel Cooper, which is Lillian Gish, who's just like an otherworldly, I don't know.
When he finds them, and he's just like tearing through all the shrubbery. It's awesome, and he's just like it's like his hands like a machete.
Yeah, just tearing through those branches and stuff.
Like the
and the kind of like the guttural screams he's kind of doing and yelling and just like it's so weird. It's such an odd choice, but it works so well. And yeah, basically it goes pretty quickly. As we say, it's a pretty quick film, but we're at kind of Rachel Cooper's house now, and he knows they're there, and he starts stalking that particular house, really. And we talked about the scene a number of times when he's sitting outside, and there's a scene.
Well, he does that earlier on, doesn't he? He stalks the family's house. Like, as soon as he gets out of prison, like they see him outside the window before he's even acknowledged himself to any of the town folk or the wife. So he does it again, doesn't he?
And he's kind of doing that weird, like he's almost like a vampire. Like he can't go through that picket fence without being invited. He kind of leans on it, like with these kind of hate knuckles.
Have you ever seen the film The Seven Psychopaths? It's not a very good film.
I have seen it, but I don't really remember anything about it. Actually.
But the way that Harry Dean Stanton's dressed, and he's like always standing outside someone's house, and they keep peering him out of a window. He's dressed like a pastor, like this kind of pastor, like a preacher man, like whatever. It's not a very good
honestly,
film.
Actually, Harry Dean Stanton is a good casting for this character.
Oh yeah,
doing that really well.
Apparently, they are doing a reboot of it. They're doing a remake.
Or maybe telling the original story again or something. Or
maybe, yeah.
I just don't. again, this is because like this is so like perfectly shot. This is the kind of film I'm like, they don't need to try and do this again. Like, but whatever. That's the world of Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
But there's a so basically he's stalking the house, and then and when he breaks into the house, that's when like Rachel Cooper shoots him with like the shotgun, and he kind of runs off into the barn and hides, if I remember right. They call the police, and the police are just like they're not any rush to arrive or something. But I think at that time the police have also found the body of Wilma, so the police are also coming to arrest him for that murder, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's right.
So they turn up and they kind of arrest him, and as like John the son is like watching Powell get arrested again, he kind of it's like a flashback to his father being arrested, and he kind of breaks down, like the two, I guess kind of like
beats him with the
or something like, or
well, it's almost like he's angry with his dad for putting this burden on him of having the money, so he beats him with the ragdoll with the money, and the money flies everywhere. So he's upset. He's both upset because it reminds him of his dad, but also he's angry as well because, you know, if it wasn't for this money, this man would not have been entered their life. His mom wouldn't be dead.
Yeah, and there's, as we said, there's no plan for it. His father says, "Don't tell anyone about this money ever," and then his father's like killed. So like, it's just a promise that he had to make, and a kind of a burden on his back to keep. But there's no plan for it. There's like, he didn't help his mom with the money when maybe he could have, you know, like, or he doesn't do anything. It's just this burden that's like ruined his life and had him like this maniac chasing him.
But how old do you reckon he's supposed to be? Like what, 8 years old? Something like that.
I was thinking a little older than that. I was thinking more like...
I mean, you know, I don't know. And, you know, it goes with that fantasy element of it, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, a kid in real life, I don't care what kid it is, would blurp it straight away.
Ollie, it was the 30s. It's the Depression era. Kids were different then.
Yeah,
they
you wouldn't have any promise forever.
So, like, the end of the film is kind of like, there's like it's almost like a Frankenstein kind of mob is like going around the police station wanting to kill him, if I remember right.
Well, why would the other... I don't know. I thought they were on his side because this is what I couldn't work out, and I probably because I watched this finished watching it half an hour before we started recording. But why did they go after the kids and the lady when they're in the diner? Why do they point at them in there and then they run away?
I think
that's why.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what it is that like it's meant to be that the town people were fooled for his child.
That's what I mean. Yeah, so I think they're kind of on his side. They believe his side of the story.
Yeah, so they're storming the police station because they're like, "How dare you arrest our preacher?" kind of thing.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
But he's like, kind of a bit like a Frankenstein because he's quite a big lumbering kind of character, isn't he? He's quite broad-shouldered,
tall person. Yeah.
Oh, you just reminded me of that image that you and Brad... I don't know if it was you or Brandon shared of Robert De Niro wearing those big, like, high-heeled shoes so he looks taller than Al Pacino.
Those weird, like, squishy tall shoes.
Yeah, they look like Frankenstein feet.
Yeah. Isn't it weird that he played Frankenstein?
Oh, he did as well, didn't he?
Well, the monster.
Yeah.
It's so weird that... no one talks about the fact that Robert De Niro played Frankenstein's monster.
I watched that because we read that in GCSE. So
really?
So we watched the film as well.
Do you remember the film?
Vaguely. I mean, when did I do my GCSEs? 20 years ago. So
I just wonder if it's. I don't know if it's good or not.
I think it might be worth a rewatch. I mean, it's got Kenneth Branagh. He directed it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it's Kenneth Branagh directed, isn't it? Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird that they remade Frankenstein in the 90s with him. And I guess we've already said at the end of the film is kind of like it's Christmas and Lily.
Well, hang on. Sorry to backtrack though. There's a bit where they run back to find the older, not daughter, but the older girl that the lady looks after.
Yeah.
What does she say? Because she's obviously been corrupted by him as well. I think, hasn't she? It almost sounds like she's
I keep
kind
calling
of
her
like...
Rose, but her name's Ruby. But yeah, like...
So I don't know if she sells them out or something because
Oh, maybe. I can't
Because there's a scene
that...
earlier on where they're all going shopping and stuff like that, and she goes off wandering because I think she's got a boy in the town that she's kind of got the hots for.
Yeah.
And then she bumps into Harry.
And Harry's basically kind of trying to seduce her in like the ice cream parlour or whatever, isn't he?
Yeah, because he learns then about the kids and knows that's how he knows that they live there. But then later on, they're in court and they're trying to get the young boy to say, "Is this the man that killed your mother?" and whatever. Yeah. And he refuses to say anything. He doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a lot that goes on, and it's, but not at the same time. I don't know. It's such a good film.
It is brilliant.
But the thing is, do you even see him on the dock?
No, I don't think you do. I think you
just see him go in a car at the end, and that's it. Like kind of like once he's out of the farmhouse, you hardly see him. It's like all power's taken away from him then, so he's kind of got no power over anyone. I don't know.
I seem to remember like the executioner says to him like I'll see you soon or something. Like
yes,
that.
He does say that. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, there's a lot of shots in this as well. I think it was when the kids. It's just the kids on their own running away. It's all shot kind of from their perspective, so it's kind of like child height, kind of.
Yeah, sure.
And there's a lot of adults talking, especially that end scene. It's a lot of adults talking that you don't see, and you just see it from like their perspective.
Their perspective, and the top's kind of cut off.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it almost sounds like that Tom and Jerry kind of thing where you just kind of hear like people leaning over and talking to them and stuff like that.
It is weird. Like it is totally that fairy tale element to it. It's not a film for kids, but it is shot with that kind of way to it.
But like like Guillermo del Toro, like you were saying, like all of his films have been like that. Like Devil's Backbone, Pan's Labyrinth. They've all been films that center on children.
Yeah,
but they're not kids' films. But they are fairy tale like.
Yeah, I mean, I can absolutely see the connection to this. It's funny because like Del Toro is one of these guys for me that I was just like, he makes such unique films, in a unique way. And then watching this one, like, oh no, he has influences. Like he does. Like it's unfair to think that everything's isolated. Like,
well, like look at Shape of War. It's pretty much Creature of the Black Lagoon mixed with I don't know, like something else.
Well, just mixed with like gothic horror and gothic romance, and like he loves investigating this kind of era of like America as well. Those kind of 50s paranoia or what have you is all kind of like, I don't know, weaved into his films.
Especially Pacific Rim. I think that's the one it's most found in.
I'll tell you a secret. I'm going to cover my hand here. I don't like Pacific Rim.
Don't worry, I don't like it either.
Don't you?
No.
I don't get it. I don't get why people love it so much. I'm more than willing if maybe I'll watch it one day and go, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it clicks with you. Yeah, it didn't work for me, to be honest. I know, like James loves it and stuff like that, but it just didn't work for me.
I was not into it in the slightest, and I just thought the monster designs were boring, like, and not wild enough. They were just like, I don't know, Cloverfield boring.
I just found it weird that like the robots had to be controlled by two people that were kind of mentally connected. It just felt like such a massive kind of.
It was very screenwritery, isn't it?
Over the top. Like, I know it's over the top. It has to be over the top. It's giant monsters fight, but it just felt more things to go on to it. It's like, you had enough with the giant robots and giant monsters. Do you know what I mean? And it's It's like when you're watching like some anime and there's like too much detail. Like you're explaining too much at me. I can't remember what I was watching. I hated it. Sword Art Online. The first 2 episodes of that are some of the. I just couldn't. I turned it off and never watching anything again. And it was absolutely that they were saying like too much. They were giving me like too much information, too many rules. I like rules in a film. What's the rules of this world? But they were giving me too many exact rules. Like I was like being handed a manual for this show, and I was like, I am not enjoying this at all. I don't care. This is like, I don't care. I don't want all this. I just do your story, and I'll pick up stuff. Like, I know people may criticize Nolan for doing that because he does. He over-explains stuff as well, and it's confusing. But at least like in terms of visuals, it's something you can easily relate to, and you get that straight away. It doesn't have crazy over the top like mecha robot suits that kind of also take another like step of disbelief. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of
that stuff you have to step away and then explain it again, kind of thing. And I don't like that at all. I do.
But anyway,
like
back to Southern Gothic horror.
Yeah, which this film doesn't do.
Yeah,
and I want to give Lillian Gish an award because I can't give her a trackie because it's not part of our main miniseries.
I think you're allowed to.
But I'm going to give her Best Actress for the 50s because I just thought this was a stunning like performance, which I was absolutely shocked by. There's such amount of like her character is so much like strength to her and so much like character that comes out. You know, like, it's really hard to play that third act kind of role that isn't in really the rest of the film.
Yeah, because she doesn't come in till like what the hour mark maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's at the beginning, but like
sure, but you kind of a little bit forgotten.
Yeah. But she's a breath of fresh air when she comes to the film because you think, you know, you feel safe for the kids then. Like, as soon as she comes in, you know they're going to be okay.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. They've got someone on her side. And when, like, there's a bit when he's, like, chasing the son under the porch.
Yeah.
And she's threatening him and he's just ignoring him, like, oh, go away. You know, like, not giving her any kind of, not thinking she's a real threat. And then, like, when she marches in and pulls out the gun and starts prodding him with it on the porch, I was just like, I love this so much. Like, I thought she was going to protect her, but when like it turned to her being actually like a physical protector, I was just like, oh my God, this is a performance. Like,
she's protecting them, even though she doesn't know the full story either. She just trusts these kids. Like, she knows.
Yes.
You know, she sees through his facade,
absolutely.
but trusts the kids more so that, you know.
I was saying, like, in her silent era films, her eyes are really like prominent.
Mm-hmm.
They were always like I bet you they put extra makeup on and stuff like that. There was a big like feature of her, and I think they do the same thing in this as well. That they really use her eyes to be like to give her that strength of character in that kind of role. And
yeah,
I don't know. I loved Lillian Gish in this film, and I feel like I've made a discovery, like a kind of, like I knew her name, but I'd never watched anything. You know, I've never watched any D.W. Griffith films, so like, that's really, I don't know, it's really pleasing. It's something that we talk about in these miniseries about discoveries and stuff. Any final thoughts? I guess, like any other like points, or what's your ratings?
Oh, it's 5 out of 5 for me. Just incredibly well acted. Just the cinematography was chef's kiss. Great sound. just love the use of sets and just the way they. I don't know. I just thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
great.
Same. It was just like I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was going to see. And for this to be like a one and out director, which there's not many one and out directors out there that did anything that's that noteworthy. This might be the most noteworthy one and out director there is. I don't know. Like,
I mean, like, we've watched a lot of good film. I think, you know, probably because we haven't seen as many 50s films as we have 70s and 90s films. But I don't think we've watched a bad film. I don't think. No,
we haven't. We haven't. Not this many. No.
This one might be one of the best ones.
Yeah, which again, like considering some of the ones we've watched, is so impressive.
But like Rafifi that came out the same year as this was great for a whole. Like it was, I thought that was fantastic. It was great for a whole other different kind of reason. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, this was a treasure. I wish I'd seen it earlier, but now we've seen it now, so it's good. Like.
Yeah, but you can't, you know, hindsight's a beautiful thing. Like, you know, I wish I'd, you know, but, you know, is what it is. So what's happening next week then?
Well, I don't know.
Well, actually, I might have to miss next week because my deadline is next week. So we might have a break again in the 50s. We've had so many breaks in the 50s.
It's fine. But yeah, so coming up on our slate, I think it's the better way to put it, is we've got Hitchcock film coming up. Hitchcock. Got Hitchcock.
Have we decided which one we're doing, or are we doing two?
We're doing Rear Window or Vertigo.
Well, I'm happy to watch both.
Yeah, I could watch both. Yeah, I could watch both.
Because I've got this, again, I've got a lovely Hitchcock Blu-ray box set that's just been sat on my shelf, never been watched. So
have you seen either of those?
No, I haven't. I've only seen Psycho and North by Northwest. Oh, and 39 Steps.
I've not seen 39 Steps. I've seen quite a few Hitchcocks. I have seen both of them, but it's been a long while since I've seen Vertigo. Though I've seen Rear Window relatively recently, but I'm always up for that. So yeah, let's watch both of those and let's talk Hitchcock.
Okay.
But also coming up, we're going to have we'll have our 50s like awards and little roundup, and I think we'll record one for 2020 as well.
God, I'll have to watch some more films. I think I've seen Bill and Ted, and Tenant. No, I've seen a few more. But no, I'm gonna try and catch up on a few more.
Because I mean, normally I'd like to do that around like February time, but everything's weird this year. The Oscars aren't for another month, which is insane.
I know they're at the end of April.
Yeah, so but I'd kind of like to get that out of the way, really, because otherwise it's going to be weird. We should record that at some point, so that'll be coming out at some point soon.
Yeah, and then we'll be cracking on with our next decade.
Our next decade, which I'm going to keep a secret, even though I think we've already said what it is, but I'm going to keep it a secret.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and don't forget you can reach out to us on Twitter. We are at AdjustYourTrack. That's with a Y, not a your. We'd love to hear your feedback and comments on the films we've been watching. Get a conversation going. That would be awesome. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on whatever platform you listen to us on, be that Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify. We're on YouTube. Liam, get Godzilla on YouTube, please.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And don't forget, if the picture's bad, always adjust your tracking.
Bye bye.